It's 2000 hours in Banjul, and from our MDI studios, here's the news. In the headlines, Vice President Dr. Aissatou Toure presides over the validation of the technical and vocational education training policy, injecting hope into the country's future workforce. Vice Chancellor Professor Mohammed Fakir Anjum today presides over the inauguration of the Directorate of Research and Consultancy of the University of the Gambia in Kanifing. The Department of Physical Planning continued its demolition exercises in the capital city, salvaging the safety of adamant residents at half-die. The Gambia is set to join global commemorations marking International Youth Day, observed on August 12th each year, with the theme Transforming Food Systems, Youth Innovation for Human and Planetary Health. Away from home, Kenyan government allows private sector involvement for the procurement of 1 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines. Well, these and many more coming ahead in the next 40 minutes with me, Momo Njai. Let's begin today's bulletin with the Vice President, Dr. Aissatou Toure, who today presided over the validation of the technical and vocational education training. The forum, organized by the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology in collaboration with other partners, is aimed at revamping the technical and vocational education training sector, which has not been functioning to effectively respond to needs of the country. Fatou Diba was at the Sadauda Jawara International Conference Center in Bijilo and filing this report.
This day-long validation forum of technical and vocational educational training policy is conceived and spearheaded by the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology. The objective of the project is to reinforce technical and vocational skills training in the Gambia, thereby creating an educational system that will cater developmental needs through youth involvement in technical and vocational learning. In the Gambia, the system of learning hasn't gained focus over the years. However, the Gambian government, through the Higher Education Ministry, deemed it necessary to put TVET system in the forefront of educational structure, which will cut down the chain of irregular migration among young people and alleviate poverty for sustainable development.
Life is sacred. People have to act out their lives. In the words of Tennessee, leaving behind them footprints on the sands of time, footprints perhaps another. And this is what has led to this occasion. For Gambian youths to be engaged in gainful employment, for Gambian youths to be equipped with the skills that minister to development and employability, for Gambian youths to be able to have a measure of life that is meaningful and purposeful. It is important that we make sure that they get the skills that they need to be able to live on the sands of time, footprints that would make a difference.
To fully implement the program and further achieve its objective, students need to be introduced to skills training courses from the grassroots. The Deputy Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, GRTS, said the needful resources will be in place to shape young people in technical and skills training.
The policy ensures that TVET is no longer a second choice or a solace for failures. The opportunity is now there for students to exhibit their aptitude for TVET at the earliest possible level, and without guilt or regrets, make a career choice at that early stage. MOHAS, on the other hand, ensures that the career path is uninterrupted and elevates the aspirant up to the terminal level, that is PhD level.
United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, as the leading team giving technical support for the project, will help Gambia reposition herself on its development agenda of youth empowerment through knowledge improvement.
UNESCO and COICA have been working in close partnership with the Gambian government through the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, and other improve the knowledge base and capacity of TVET systems including changing the negative perception of TVET and increase its attractiveness.
Speaking on behalf of the government, the Vice President, Dr. Aissatou Toure, assured the team of their utmost support in realizing the set goal.
Surely, these current and future orientations require the need to refocus on the TVET subsector with new reflections and collective intervention for a vibrant national TVET system.
The full implementation of the TVET program will enable rural communities, including the less privileged and young people, attain their goals in every sector of development. Fatou Diba for GRTS News.
Let's now turn to a press release from the Gambia Armed Forces, and it reads: The Gambia Armed Forces wishes to inform the public that it will conduct a live firing exercise on Thursday, 12th August 2021 at the Tintinba Range in Fonyi Kansala, West Coast region, from 0600 hours onwards. The release continues that the public, especially residents of Tintinba, Bullock, Kamfenda, Kanilai, Sangajor, Biam, and other satellite villages are urged not to panic, but cautioned to avoid the designated areas on the above-mentioned dates. The release ends. The Vice-Chancellor of the University of the Gambia, Professor Mohammed Fakir Anjum, today presided over the inauguration of the Directorate of Research and Consultancy of the University of the Gambia in Kanifing. The Directorate seeks to continue offering research and consultancy services for both the public and private sector within a funding reach of $43 million. The ceremony was attended by partner UN agencies, government institutions, and students. Usman Mane picks up the rest of that story.
Research propels humanity. Its evidences inform actions, gather evidence for theories, and contribute to the development of knowledge in a field of study. The inauguration of the Directorate of Research and Consultancy of the University of the Gambia will now bridge the gap in research and consultancy services universities over the world provides. Speaking at the event, the Vice-Chancellor of the University of the Gambia, Professor Mohammed Fakir Anjum, assured the support of the management to develop the Directorate, which would go a long way to improve the capacity of the university. This, he said, would be difficult without adequate facilities.
This was my dream, which we are fulfilling today by inaugurating the Research Directorate. Similarly, I am also very much interested to develop the facilities for research. For original research, there is a need for the establishment of laboratory facilities, which we are lacking.
The Director of Research and Consultant at the UTG, Dr. Mohammed Sanyang, said academia should serve as change agents. He further calls for more investment in research to better address development challenges in the country.
Today, my message to the government is to invest, promote and support university research at all levels, because that will contribute to national development. Supporting research, it will help in shaping evidence-based policies. Why do we create policies? It's to effect change. But if these policies are not informed through research, only based on assumptions, we won't realize the change they were intended for.
The UTG management recently supported staff with $16 million on research works. Professor Per Gomez is the Vice-Chancellor on Academics. He explained their commitment to the process.
This year, we earmarked $43 million exclusively to be given to our lecturers to support their research. Obviously, it's not for them to go and do otherwise. There are checks and balances. They sign a contract, performance contract, and there is a time frame in which they have to submit the outcome of their results. And all these policies must inform policymakers.
The new directorate has been partnering with both local and international agencies in consultancy, which is now generating revenue for the UTG.
This entity is now bringing millions to the University of the Gambia. Yeah, those millions are plowed back to the academics. 80% of them, it will be to support them for the consultants and so on.
It is hopeful that the Research and Consultancy Directorate would provide academic journals for students and services that will change the development narratives in the country. Usman Mane, GRTS.
The Physical Planning Department with partners have today continued its demolition of 25 old and dilapidated buildings in the capital city of Banjul. Today's exercise was conducted at Halfdai Street, where adamant residents were not spared in the exercise meant to salvage them from safety and environmental hazards. GRTS's Aisa Tujata picks up the rest of that story.
These old and dilapidated buildings situated in the capital city Banjul at the street of Halfdai are brought down for saving life and property. The Deputy Director of Physical Planning and Housing, Issa Kamara, noted that this demolition exercise is part of their mandate.
The law requires us to classify the buildings as unsafe, and then we give notices to their owners, and after we paste poster on the buildings that they are declared unsafe and they should be demolished. So the owners are informed. We, as physical planning officers, the law requires us to follow due process of the law. We don't just jet up and do things haphazardly. We must first involve our stakeholders. Second, we engage those who are affected. So they may not be aware because they are not affected.
As to whether there is any compensation scheme for the owners of the demolished buildings, this is what he had to say.
I don't think there will be any compensation. The law says when a building is declared unsafe, the owner should demolish it. And if the owner didn't demolish it, the government would demolish it. And any cost incurred by the government should be paid by the owners. Well, as I said, that's left to the decision makers. So whether we ask them to pay whatever cost we are doing here, as you can see, we bring down, we brought these power tillers, and we are paying them the cost of fuel and everything. So the law required that to be compensated to the government.
Deputy Director highlighted few challenges they faced and urged the public not to view this exercise as a witch hunt, since they are only trying to avert disaster.
The challenges first was we had it difficult to get the equipment to do the demolition because the equipment were not ready when we were ready. They were in up country and they were later brought. Another constraint we have is with NAVEC, because before we do any demolition, they must disconnect the electricity. They removed this one, but the ones we are going to are not removed yet, so that's where they are going to remove now.
For his part, Musa Kamara, the engineer at the Department of Physical Planning and Housing, outlined the criteria used to identify the old buildings.
You know, people, the passerbys and the neighbors are complaining that, they don't sleep at night. When they are passing, they always fear of a building collapsing on them. So that has been a concern for a while, but then it was brought to the attention of the department. Then we convened a stakeholders meeting. It lost its strength, it lost its stability, it lost its robustness and its integrity.
Kamara further explains how dilapidated these structures are.
The concrete is already dead and the reinforcements are also dead. So there are cracks, spallings happening. You see all the structural elements that keep the structures together are all dead. So it cannot resist any force, whether it is a wind, whether it is a vibration from the road, and any other external force. It cannot resist it. So we could see the example. The concrete is falling, and you can't believe it. There are people living in this kind of a house. So that's why we deem it fit to embark on this exercise.
Some of the residents deliberately failed to park out after being given advance notice by the department. Even though they caused delay in the exercise, they couldn't stop the officers from executing their duty. This particular building is said to have hosted President Adama Barrow during his school days at the Muslim High School in Banjul, which is already identified as part of the 25 buildings set for demolition next week. The exercise targets buildings that are no longer fulfilling their purpose to be pulled down to save life and property. For the news, I am Isatu Jata Gassama.
International Youth Day is commemorated every year on August 12th. At the home front, designated youth focal points in consultation with youth organizations and members of the UN interagency networks in youth development are set to observe the day tomorrow. The day also encourages youth around the world to organize activities meant to raise awareness about their situation. Ahead of this year's commemoration on the theme Transforming Food Systems, Youth Innovation for Human and Planetary Health, the Gambia's Youth and Sports Minister Bakari Baji delivered a statement where he outlined achievements and plans in the youth sector. The minister further called on the youths to remain peaceful at all times, especially in this election year. Here is an excerpt.
Committed to seeing that the young people are engaged in food self-sufficiency program, the government of the Gambia, through the Ministry of Youth and Sports and its development partners, is making great impact at the Chairman Agricultural Training Center, known as the Gambia Songhai Initiative. This is a project that serves as a training ground for many young farmers. Today, we can proudly say that many youths are involved in agriculture because of this wonderful initiative. I must use this opportunity to call on youths to take up farming, as it can be a lucrative business. Those interested can be assured of government support at all times. The National Youth Council and the National Enterprise Development Initiative, two satellite institutions under the ministry, are part of the steering committee of the Roots project of the Ministry of Agriculture. This project is specifically designed to help young farmers in the Gambia. Unlike other projects, Youth Roots will provide grants up to $10 million to aspiring young farmers who meet the requirement. The government is aware of the fact that most of our young farmers are financially challenged. Thus, the more reason why projects like Roots are conceptualized and funding secured to provide assistance. The Ministry of Youth and Sports, and by extension, the government, is aware of the negative effect of COVID-19 on youth population and their welfare and advancement. Because we have a government that cares and has helped so many families, including youths, during these difficult times, through cash transfer and food relief aid. This was done to make sure the population does not go hungry. We must not lose hope, because while we battle the COVID impact in the last 18 months, we have registered some recognizable achievements in the youth sector, among which is the university graduating hundreds of students and the Ministry of Education, Research, Science and Technology awarding scholarship to Gambian students to pursue higher education at both the UTG and foreign universities. The government, through the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Welfare, and that of the Youth and Sports, have launched the Women Entrepreneurship Fund and Youth Revolving Loan and Grant Scheme, all aimed at supporting young women and men to engage or improve their businesses. Fellow young people, in few months, we will begin the election cycle in the Gambia. And as it draws nearer, it is important for youths to be reminded to engage in decent and progressive politics. As Gambians, we have always been known to be peaceful. We must therefore avoid violence and be advocates of peace and ensure that our communities and country remain peaceful and secure before, during, and after election. The National Youth Council and other youth organizations supported by the UNFPA and with broader UN agencies through the Peace Building Project are engaged in raising awareness on the need for peaceful coexistence throughout the country. The government of the Gambia remains committed in the cause of youth, and the ministry will continue to engage you through the National Youth Council, the National Sport Council, the National Enterprise Development Initiative, and the National Youth Service Scheme, in a bid to empower and provide you with employability skills and promote sports development. All we ask from you, the youth, is that you redouble your efforts, be hardworking, avoid engaging in illegal acts, seek education, skills, in order to excel as great citizens of the Gambia.
Sports Minister Bakari Bajede delivering a televised statement on this year's International Youth Day, due to be observed tomorrow with the theme Transforming Food Systems, Youth Innovation for Human and Planetary Health. Moving on, The Department of Fisheries and Water Resources on Wednesday commenced a 3-day training with the industrial fishing vessel observers. The training is meant to strengthen the sustainable management of the fisheries resources and the development of the artisanal fisheries sector. Khadija Tuba have details in this report.
The Observer program is one of the complementary efforts being used, particularly by coastal states, to prevent and stem the prevalence of illegal, unregulated and unreported fishing. Speaking at the training, the Director of Fisheries, Anna Mbenga Cham, outlined the importance of observers as their operations is internationally recognized.
The effective management of the fisheries resources is also determined by the degree of compliance with stipulated conditions by licensed operation, those making the presence of the observers on board fishing vessels crucial and unsorry. Distinguished participants, however, as fishing vessel observers, does not have the relative authority to enforce fisheries regulations, as stated by Gus van Helvert in 1986. This authority is vested with the fisheries inspectors and naval officers and considered not to be compatible with the observer's mandate, which is to observe, record, and report.
The Deputy Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Fisheries and Water Resources, Malang Dabo, described the partnership of the government of the Gambia with the European Union as rewarding, adding that the training is part of the plans at the sub-regional level to have a regional corps of fishing vessels observers, to have well-trained and competent personnel to be part of the sub-regional observer programs.
This partnership agreement is for duration of 6 years, and the objectives of the fisheries sectoral support is to strengthen the sustainable management of our fisheries resources and the development of the fisheries sector. In particular, fisheries monitoring, control and surveillance of our waters. Illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing is a global concern, which needs concerted effort in our drive to minimize the menace.
The coordinator of the European Union sectoral support, Modunjai, commended the observers of the Fisheries Department and vessel observers for their continuous support in the management and development of the country.
Your training is actually the strengthening of your capacities to ensure that you carry out this responsibility according to the requirements. As you may be aware too, and which may be evident later on in the proceedings of the workshop, there are legislation that must be enforced. And there are requirements around this legislation for you to enforce. As observers, you are out there to ensure that you enforce the legislation as required, and to control, monitor the activities of fishing vessels.
The effective management of fisheries resources is also determined by the degree of compliance with stimulated conditions by licensed operators, though making the presence of observers on board vessels crucial and assuring. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Khadija Tuba.
Let's now shift our attention to provincial Gambia and begin at the North Bank region, where our team recently visited the multi-million-dollar Hakalang Road project in Upper Nyomi district, where completed works has now reached 25%. Our correspondent also spoke to some people on the significance of the route in ensuring socio-economic growth in the area, and this is his report.
All forms of travel on this road, otherwise called the Hakalang, used to be a nightmare to the businessmen, women, and even families living along this belt. Many inhabitants of this area have lived and died with dreams of witnessing its construction. In the village of Sitanungu, where Kadi Sajo lived, journeying on the Hakalang Road used to be presumed as a daily struggle with no ending. After effects of the long-term neglect of this development need led to limited opportunities, low prevalence of development projects and activities, as well the lack of access to basic services. Journeying along this road used to be trouble for us. I remembered when we used to struggle with our vegetable products only to reach Bara and realize that the market is closed for the day. In the countryside, many people are forced to live with their economic dreams. At the unanalyzed part of the equation lies the women and girls. This situation has in no small measure widened the inequality gap and discouraged extensive agriculture, the mainstay of the people. Basi Sendin Jamme is a health worker in the area. He shared his experience with GRTS on the impacts of the Hakalang Road to the delivery of quality healthcare service prior to the start of its construction.
When you look at our rate of referral per day at the major facility, which is a SEO, major hospital, and you look at the road condition, you find out that the patients suffer a lot before they reach at the facility. Most of them lose their life.
The Jere camp, one of the tourist destinations in the hinterland, has all these years been operating in a low profile. Close to the River Gambia, the place is a good holiday resort for tourists.
If you look up to Meme, they are all with creeks and they are all with little small camps. And why these camps are not operating fully is because of the road situation.
Solution to a 5-decade problem is slowly but surely progressing. Yet another campaign promise of President Barrow fulfilled. The road is 10 meters wide. According to the Senegalese construction giant CSE, everything will be done by the stipulated time.
By the grace of God, we are here, we start the job, as you can see, and we will go far, as far we can, depending the rainy season.
Now that the construction is in high gear, what will this mean to the people of the area and to the all-inclusive development approach of the Barrow-led government?
It will bring more restaurants, more hotel industry in the coast. And that's why I say it's not even Hakalang Road, it's Nyomi Coastal Road.
If it is other transactions in the combo, it finds me just 5, 10, 15 minutes I am in Bara to catch up the next ferry. So it has actually changed my life.
Once the construction on this road is finished, many sectors including agriculture, trade and tourism will start realizing their full potentials in the North Bank. For the news, I am Famarakani.
From the North Bank, we head to the Lower River region, where the National Environment Agency, in partnership with the Regional Education Directorate in Mansakonko, recently conducted a tree planting exercise at Soma Low Basic School. The activity, supported by energy provider Car Powership, is part of events marking World Environment Day, celebrated each year on June 5th. Our correspondent Alajimbai picks up the rest of that story.
Held on the theme Ecosystem Restoration, the tree growing exercise, according to the Deputy Governor of Lower River Region, Keba Dabo, is crucial in restoring the ecosystem.
Without trees, life could be impossible. So today is another day in our life to come together and know that trees are important to us. We need to grow trees for our incoming generations.
Sheikh Alkinki Sanyang works at the Environmental Education and Communications Unit at NEA.
The main objective of the project is for us to go to the school environment, try to inculcate positive and sustainable environmental management strategies into the young brains of our school-going children.
Several other speakers, including Sidi Jammeh of the Regional Education Directorate in Mansakonko, thanked the organizers for the initiative and assured of their commitment to the protection of the environment. Alajimbai, GRTS News.
And in the Central River region, Action Aid, the Gambia have once again engaged members of the Rural Women Assembly and other stakeholders on a major policy forum. As our correspondent Monlamin Sane reports, the platform is meant to discuss climate change matters with members of parliament. Details in this report.
This is the final stage for local action on climate change, a preparatory session organized by Action Aid to prepare rural women farmers and other key stakeholders for an interface with National Assembly members. The idea is to have a community-driven policy on climate change after a massive at local level through caravans and stakeholders forum.
We have conducted forums where we engage government ministries, government line departments, where we engage CBOs and NGOs to talk about climate change and also to talk about women's lands right. And then we have also conducted forums where we engage policymakers to talk about the National Development Plan, especially issues that are related to climate change and women empowerment. You know, we have conducted a series of activities before we reach to this level. Now we want to believe that these women are equipped enough to face the National Assembly and talk to them about their needs and demands.
The 36-month project funded by the European Union focuses on having citizens' action towards green economy and environmental sustainability in rural Gambia.
Women need to participate in development and their voices must be heard. When we say participate, it's not attending, but it's also contributing their part. They need to participate in the decision-making process itself. And the decision-making process starts from the grassroots. They need to come out with their problems, what the issues that are affecting them. And when they come out with those issues, they will go to the right authorities and, you know, tell them that these are our issues, these are our problems. The people up there can also come down to really discuss with these people, the people at the grassroots.
An important forum to finalize recommendations that will be presented before policymakers at national level.
My contribution will be first of all deforestation, this rampant cutting of trees within the region, I can say within the country, national-wide. And again, they have series of tree planting for over years. Tree planting every year, tree planting forests have been conducting several series of tree planting. But at the end, the tree planting will not be protected.
These 20 participants who also took part at the grassroots consultation will have the opportunity to face with parliamentarians to put forward ideas that will help fight against the effects of climate change in the Gambia. Modulamin Sane reporting for GRTS News from the Central River.
Moving on. Imam Buhari Center for Islamic Studies and Humanitarian Foundation have recently inaugurated a mosque and a borehole in Kafenken village. The intervention, as Khadija Tujalo reports, is to promote lives and livelihood of rural dwellers grappling with acute water shortages. Details in this report.
Scores of people from surrounding villages converge at Kafenkem village to be part of congregational prayers marking the inauguration of the settlement's mosque. Individuals, including the village alcalo, imam and elders, all hailed the Imam Buhari Center under the leadership of Muhammad Ibrahim Sise for the intervention. The president of the center and its public relations officer, Babu Njai, advised the community to take ownership of the projects.
From Serakunda to here, how many villages need mosque? How many villages need water supply? There are many. But God said that this is the village we are going to bring it. So if we bring it to this village, we are appealing to the villagers that this property now belongs to you. It does not belong to Imam Buhari. It belongs to the people of the village and the area. Make sure that you make best use of it, so that this mosque will be able to sustain it.
The ceremony also saw presentations of the Holy Quran and close to women of the village. Khadijatu Jallow, reporting for GRTS News.
And now to another press release from the Supreme Islamic Council, and it reads: The Gambia Supreme Islamic Council, in collaboration with the Office of the Imam Ratib of Banjul, wish to inform all Muslims in the Gambia that the crescent moon of the month of Muharram was not sighted in all parts of the Gambia and surrounding. Sunday evening, 29th of Dhu al-Hijjah, 1442, correspond to 8 August 2021. The release continued that Monday, the 9th of August 2021, was the last day of Dhu al-Hijjah, 1442. Tuesday, the 10th of August 2021, was the first day of Muharram, the first month of the Islamic calendar, 1443. Yawmul Ashura, the 10th of Muharram, will fall on Thursday, August 19th, 2021. In view of the above, Muslims are reminded about the importance of fasting these 2 days, the 9th and 10th of Muharram, as reported by the Holy Prophet, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him. In this regard, the Council hereby congratulates the Muslim Ummah in the Gambia and beyond on the New Year. May Allah the Almighty bestow His blessings with peace, stability and unity in the Gambia and the Islamic Ummah at large. The release concludes. We'll take a first break. International news is up next. Stay tuned.
You kept me waiting. I'm so sorry. I was stuck in traffic. You know how the traffic is. How have you been? Looks like you're in a hurry though. I have this movie that I don't want to miss. Don't worry. With Afri TV, you can watch your movie anywhere and at any time. Really?
Download the Afri TV app and watch your favorite TV channels anywhere, anytime.
And I'll show you this application. There are so many channels. Okay.
Just dial *222# to subscribe and buy special data bundles at a cheaper price. AfriCell makes life easier.
GRTS news at 2000 hours, and in the internationals, Kenya's private sector is set to begin importing COVID-19 vaccines. This comes after the government allowed members of the Kenya Private Sector Alliance to bring in 1 million doses through government agencies to boost private sector involvement towards a more coordinated national response to fight COVID-19. CGTN's Wilkiston Nyabwa has more on that story.
6 months after it launched its COVID-19 vaccine efforts, Kenya has administered just over 1.7 million vaccines to members of the public. Only about 2.4% of adults in the country are fully vaccinated. Kenya has also placed an order for 13 million doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and now it's taking yet another step to secure even more vaccines. The Ministry of Health has authorized the country's private sector to import 1 million vaccine doses.
We are likely to see increased coverage because then it means we can have more vaccine in the country, even times when the government is not able to access the vaccine through the usual mechanisms, through the country donations, through the COVAX mechanisms.
In March, Kenya's Cabinet Secretary for Health, Mutahi Kagwe, had announced that no private entity would be involved in the procurement of COVID-19 vaccines. This was to reduce the potential risk of importation of counterfeit vaccines. Now the government has set up a mechanism to ensure accountability. Under the arrangement, the private sector will secure 1 million vaccine doses, but through a government agency. This will serve as a pilot project.
I think the government has worked very hard to ensure that we have the right controls, all the way from ensuring that the vaccines that are being imported are accredited vaccines. We now have controls around who gets the license based on their capacity for the supply chain to import, to distribute, to administer.
Kenya, which has seen an upsurge in its COVID-19 infection rates in recent weeks, is looking to vaccinate a huge section of its population in coming months. Wilkiston Nyabwa, CGTN. Hardly 6 months after.
In this newscast, a recap of the day's top stories. Vice President Dr. Aissatou Toure presides over the validation of the technical and vocational education training policy, injecting hope into the country's future workforce. Vice-Chancellor Professor Muhammad Fakir Anjum today presides over the inauguration of the Directorate of Research and Consultancy of the University of the Gambia in Kanifing. The Department of Physical Planning continues its demolition exercises in the capital city Banjul, salvaging the safety of adamant residents at Halfday. The Gambia is set to join global commemorations marking International Youth Day, observed on August 12th each year, with the theme Transforming Food Systems, Youth Innovation for Human and Planetary Health. Away from home, Kenyan government allows private sector involvement for the procurement of 1 million COVID-19 vaccines. With that, we thank you for watching, and do join us at 2200 hours for more news. Till then, is bye from me, Momotinjai, and the entire news team.
Welcome to the TOK service.
What is TOK?
This is an amazing service from AfriCell that enable you to choose one AfriCell number to talk to for a period of 1 month. 30 days for $150 only. To subscribe to the service, send SUB to 135 and follow the instruction.
The TOK service from AfriCell is accessible, reliable, and affordable, giving you 1,000 minutes to say all you can for 1 month.
For more info, call 111.
Where AfriCell goes, nobody dares to follow.
For the first time in the history of the Gambia, Gambia Printing Publishing Corporation proudly introduces the Biliomatic exercise book printing machine. The machine has the capacity to print more than 20,000 books per hour. Yes, 20,000 books per hour. It also prints magazines, news